right, we're on to chapter 27 of A Course in Miracles, and chapter 27 is called The Healing of the Dream. The original title, actually, in Helen's shorthand notebooks was Healing the Ancient Dream. It's an interesting change. We saw in the last chapter that the word ancient was used a lot, and actually the word ancient is used quite often, or often enough in the Course. So healing the ancient dream, or the healing of the dream, and the first section is called The Picture of Crucifixion. So let's read that. And one of the famous lines that Ken Wapnick would often quote is, brother, at your hand, brother, behold me, brother, at your hand I die. But then it changes at the end to, behold me, brother, at your hand I live. That's where we want to get to, is with everyone we meet. Behold me, brother, at your hand I live. So let's read this to understand what that means. The wish to be unfairly treated is a compromise attempt that would combine attack and innocence. Who can combine the wholly incompatible and make a unity of what can never join? Walk you the gentle way, and you will fear no evil and no shadows in the night. But place no terror symbols on your path, or you will weave a crown of thorns from which your brother and yourself will not escape. You cannot crucify yourself alone. And if you are unfairly treated, he must suffer the unfairness that you see. You cannot sacrifice yourself alone, for sacrifice is total. If it could occur at all, it would entail the whole of God's creation and the Father with the sacrifice of his beloved Son. In your release from sacrifice is his made manifest and shown to be his own. But every pain you suffer do you see as proof that he is guilty of attack. Thus would you make yourself to be the sign that he has lost his innocence and need but look on you to realize that he has been condemned. And what to you has been unfair will come to him in righteousness. The unjust vengeance that you suffer now belongs to him, and when it rests on him, are you set free. Wish not to make yourself a living symbol of his guilt, for you will not escape the death you made for him. But in his innocence you will find your own. Whenever you consent to suffer pain, to be deprived, unfairly treated, or in need of anything, you but accuse your brother of attack upon God's Son. You hold a picture of your crucifixion before his eyes, that he may see his sins are written in heaven in your blood and death, and go before him, closing off the gate and damning him to hell. Yet this is written in hell and not in heaven, where you are beyond attack and prove his innocence. The picture of yourself you offer him, you show yourself, and give it all your faith. The Holy Spirit offers you to give to him a picture of yourself in which there is no pain and no reproach at all, and what was martyred to his guilt becomes the perfect witness to his innocence. The power of witness is beyond belief because it brings conviction in its wake. The witness is believed because he points beyond himself to what he represents. A sick and suffering you but represents your brother's guilt, the witness that you send lest he forget the injuries he gave, from which you swear he never will escape. The sick and sorry picture you accept if only it can serve to punish him. The sick are merciless to everyone, and in contagion do they seek to kill. Death seems an easy price, if they can say, behold me, brother, at your hand I die. For sickness is the witness to his guilt, and death would prove his errors must be sins. Sickness is but a, quote, little, unquote, death, a form of vengeance not yet total, yet it speaks with certainty for what it represents. The bleak and bitter picture you have sent your brother, you have looked upon in grief. And everything that is shown to him have you believed, because it witnessed to the guilt in him, which you perceived and loved. Now in the hands made gentle by his touch, the Holy Spirit lays a picture of a different you. It is a picture of a body still, for what you really are cannot be seen nor pictured. Yet this one has not been used for purpose of attack and therefore never suffered pain at all. It witnesses to the eternal truth that you cannot be hurt and points beyond itself to both your innocence and his. Show this unto your brother, who will see that every scar is healed and every tear is wiped away in laughter and in love. And he will look on his forgiveness there, and with healed eyes will look beyond it to the innocence that he beholds in you. Here is the proof that he has never sinned, that nothing which his madness bid him do was ever done, or ever had effects of any kind, that no reproach he laid upon his heart was ever justified, and no attack can ever touch him with the poison and relentless sting of fear. Attest his innocence and not his guilt. Your healing is his comfort and his health because it proves illusions are not true. It is not will for life, but wish for death that is the motivation for this world. Its only purpose is to prove guilt real. No worldly thought or act or feeling has a motivation other than this one. These are the witnesses that are called forth to be believed and lend conviction to the system they speak for and represent. And each has many voices, speaking to your brother and yourself in different tongues. And yet to both the message is the same. Adornment of the body seeks to show how lovely are the witnesses for guilt. Concerns about the body demonstrate how frail and vulnerable is your life, how easily destroyed is what you love. Depression speaks of death, and vanity of real concern with anything at all. The strongest witness to futility that bolsters all the rest and helps them paint the picture in which sin is justified is sickness in whatever form it takes. The sick have reason for each one of their unnatural desires and strange needs. For who could live a life so soon cut short and not esteem the worth of passing joys? What pleasures could there be that will endure? Are not the frail entitled to believe that every stolen scrap of pleasure in their righteous payment for their little lives? Their death will pay the price for all of them if they enjoy their benefits or not. The end of life must come, whatever way that life be spent, and so take pleasure in the quickly passing and ephemeral. These are not sins, but witnesses unto the strange belief that sin and death are real, and innocence and sin will end alike within the termination of the grave. If this were true, there would be reason to remain content to seek for passing joys and cherish little pleasures where you can. Yet in this picture is the body not perceived as neutral and without a goal inherent in itself. For it becomes the symbol of reproach, the sign of guilt, whose consequences still are there to see, so that the cause can never be denied. Your function is to show your brother sin can have no cause. How futile must it be to see yourself a picture of the proof that what your function is can never be? The Holy Spirit's picture changes not the body into something it is not. It only takes away from it all signs of accusation and of blamefulness. Pictured without a purpose, it is seen as neither sick nor well, nor bad nor good. No grounds are offered that it may be judged in any way at all. It has no life, but neither is it dead. It stands apart from all experience of love or fear. For now it witnesses to nothing yet, its purpose being open and the mind made free again to choose what it is for. Now is it not condemned, but waiting for a purpose to be given, that it may fulfill the function that it will receive. Into this empty space from which the goal of sin has been removed is heaven free to be remembered. Here its peace can come and perfect healing take the place of death. The body can become a sign of life, a promise of redemption, and a breath of immortality to those grown sick of breathing in the fetid scent of death. Let it have healing as its purpose. Then will it send forth the message it received, and by its health and loveliness proclaim the truth and value that it represents. Let it receive the power to represent an endless life, forever unattacked. And to your brother let its message be, behold me, brother, at your hand I live. The simple way to let this be achieved is merely this, to let the body have no purpose from the past when you were sure you knew its purpose was to foster guilt. For this insists your crippled picture is a lasting sign of what it represents. this leaves no space in which a different view, another purpose, can be given it. You do not know its purpose. You but gave illusions of a purpose to a thing you made to hide your function from yourself. This thing without a purpose cannot hide the function that the Holy Spirit gave. Let then its purpose and your function both be reconciled at last and seen as one. Challenging reading, right? Probably hoping that I'm going to explain this all to you. Am I right or am I right? I think I can do that. Let's see if I can. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I completely understand this. The healing of the dream is the name of the chapter. This is the beginning of the healing of the dream. Obviously, this section is called the picture of crucifixion, and healing is a theme throughout the course, obviously, and it's definitely in this section as well. So, picture of crucifixion. The picture now, remember that Jesus is basically saying, bottom line here of the course, and this I can say because this is all throughout the course, is how you see your brother, right? How you see the other. And if you see anyone and you try to make anyone feel guilty, or you see anyone through the eyes of guilt, through the eyes of the ego, that will come back to you, right? And everyone goes down to hell together, right? We all go home together, or we all go to hell together, right? Depending on how we are treating the situation, right? Treating our brother, Now, one thing I want to point out, this is something I heard, Bart Ehrman talking about in his last thing. He's writing a book about Jesus's and the gospel's influence in the realm of morality, and how the gospels changed the world or influenced the world. And Christians will often say that Christianity had a very big impact in that regard. And I would say in this one regard, perhaps, it has helped. I hope it has. I think it has. But the point Bart Ehrman was making was that in Leviticus, where it says, love thy neighbor as thyself, it does say that in Leviticus. This is the Old Testament, right? Not the Gospels, not the New Testament. The Old Testament, it says, love thy neighbor as thyself, but it probably meant your fellow Israelite, right? Because it was written for the Israelites, and the Israelites were not supposed to look too kindly on the Gentiles, or especially the idolaters, like the Canaanites, right? They were actually supposed to do away with them, obliterate them. It seems to be genocidal. That God is actually commanding genocide. So love thy neighbor as thyself did not mean everyone, right? Did not mean, love your neighboring religion or people. Whereas Jesus, this is Bart Ehrman saying this, Dr. Ehrman, he's saying that Jesus in the Gospels, when he says that, he seems to mean love everyone, like love Jew, love Gentile, love everyone equally. And that is a big shift, I think. That is, and was that something that was in the world at that time before Jesus? You could. Is it even now? How many people even now think love everyone, right? So let's just talk about that as well. So Jesus obviously here in the course is saying that as well. Jesus is emphasizing that is love everyone as yourself, because everyone is yourself, and love is our only reality. And so if you do not love, you are denying your reality, and you are accepting guilt, and you're accepting condemnation. In condemning another, you're condemning yourself. Everyone goes down to hell together. You say to your brother, when you accuse your brother for anything, or if they feel accused by you, behold me, brother, at your hand I die. That's what you're saying, that you are crucifying me. and when you say that to them, you are crucifying them. You're telling them that you feel crucified by them, but they feel crucified by you, and then you feel, that much worse because of that. So it does not solve anything. Jesus is saying that's insane. What is sanity but seeing your brother totally blameless, totally guiltless? That is sanity. That is the only thing that's going to work. That's the only thing that is going to remind you, and not just you, but everyone, that sin is not real. Attest his innocence and not his guilt. Your healing is his comfort and his health, because it proves illusions are not true. So sin is an illusion. It is not will for life, but wish for death. That is the motivation for this world. It is not will for life, but wish for death. This world is built on the wish for death. Jesus is saying this very clearly here. Its only purpose is to prove guilt real. So the ego's purpose, why the ego created this world, is to show us that we're guilty, essentially. That's the ego's purpose. Because that is, if you take the idea of separation to its logical conclusion, that's what you get. It ends in hell. Everyone goes to hell. Everyone is damned. We're all doomed. That's the ego. The Holy Spirit's vision, or thought system, you could say, is there is no separation, there is no sin, there is no guilt. God is only love. And because of that, this world becomes something else. The body and the world now has a different purpose, right? And its purpose is healing. Its purpose is returning our minds to that original state of wholeness, of oneness. And that's what we all want. That's what we're all really seeking, truly seeking, So as long as we're in a body, we need to start with the idea that our body is, this is what Jesus says here. The body is neither good nor bad. That's Shakespeare, right? Going back to that quote from Shakespeare, the famous line, which is, "There's nothing good or bad, but thinking makes it so." So the body is everything in this world is like that. Everything is up to what we make it, right? So in this case, the body really is neutral, just like everything else. I like the idea of neutral and natural, right? Whatever is part of nature, the physical world, is neutral. And it's open to how we are going to see it. And if we see it through the eyes of love, forgiveness, and the acknowledgement that we all have a shared interest in going home, then we see it truly. And we all, we all are uplifted together. We all feel the love together. And all you have to do is, it's so simple and clear when you apply this to your life. You see how it works, right? When you withhold judgment, when you let go of the judgment, when you let go of the attack, when you let go of the anything that you're holding any grievance that you're holding against anyone. And you see it through the eyes, forgiving eyes and gentle vision. Things shift. The weight is lifted. It's very clear. Let it have healing as its purpose. Then will it send forth the message it received, and by its health and loveliness proclaim the truth and value that it represents. Let it receive the power to represent an endless life, forever unattacked. And to your brother let its message be, behold me, brother, at your hand I live. So you turn the picture of crucifixion into the picture of resurrection. Right, the resurrection of the Son of God. We are all the Son of God. We are all the one Son of God. Jesus says that, that God only has one Son, and we're all it. We're all the one Son of God. So when we see the picture of the resurrection and not the crucifixion, everywhere we go, then we resurrect the Son of God. That is the resurrection of the Son of God. The simple way to let this be achieved is merely this: to let the body have no purpose from the past when you were sure you knew its purpose was to foster guilt. For this insists your crippled picture is a lasting sign of what it represents. This leaves no space in which a different view, another purpose, can be given it. You do not know its purpose. You but gave illusions of a purpose to a thing you made to hide your function from yourself. We made this world. We made, with the ego, we made the body. We made everything to show us that guilt is real. In order to hide the truth, to hide from the truth because we didn't want the truth. We threw the truth away. This thing without a purpose cannot hide the function that the Holy Spirit gave, but we cannot run and hide from our true self, and the Holy Spirit represents that. Let then its purpose and your function both be reconciled at last and seen as one. Yeah, well, I think we'll leave it at that. I think that's good. Lest these videos get too long. The next section is called The Fear of Healing. I'm going to do a video maybe soon about agnosticism and the three main positions: the theism, agnosticism, and atheism. And it'll bring in the course, but it'll just be more about the idea of remaining in that state of not knowing. And I think that's really the most balanced perspective, and also the most honest perspective. So you may see that show up one of these days on the channel. Thanks for listening. Feedback is always welcome. I'd love to hear your thoughts on all of this, and see you soon.